Welcome to the 3i Podcast. I'm Mike Launchman, and with me today is Kevin Frank. Kevin has been an educator for nearly 30 years and is currently serving as the superintendent of Washington Community Schools in Washington, Indiana. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, excited to have you here today. We kind of go back ways. I've known you for many years now, back when you were at Eastern Green, and then you went to be the assistant soup under Dan Roach at Washington, and then replaced Dan when he retired.
Right. Close to 30 years in education. I've probably known you for about half of those.
I'd love to get right into some of the things that you've been tackling, like your dual immersion program, because of the number of Haitian kids that you've had coming into your district.
Yeah, so Washington's had an EL population probably for a good 25 to 30 years. We have a turkey processing plant and some other ag industries that draw the EL population to our community. And so when I got there with Dr. Roach, we started talking about how do we leverage this. And we have what's called a two-way dual language immersion, where we have half the population are students that are native English speakers, and then the other half are native speakers of other languages like Spanish and Haitian Creole. But we have 50-50 population, and then we also, with that, they spend half their day learning English, half their day learning Spanish. And so the students that are coming up through our program will be bilingual in English and Spanish.
What grade level is that starting at?
So we started it with our with a kindergarten cohort. That group's now in first grade. So we're in year 2. And, the toughest thing with starting a dual language immersion program, especially when you're in rural Indiana, is the staffing.
I knew where you were heading.
Yeah. And so we've tapped into the Sagamore Institute, which is an organization here in Indiana that helps to bring international teachers to the state. And our first 2 Spanish teachers in the program are from Ecuador. And so that's the toughest challenge, is finding those teachers that are bilingual, that can teach Spanish, and hopefully we can hang on to them and grow the program.
I could see how staffing would be difficult, especially when you kind of are an island, because I don't think the surrounding districts around you have the level of English second language that you do.
Not really. I mean, we're hearing, Vincennes, their population is growing a little bit, but outside of that, we're really, between Washington and Evansville. Evansville is pretty diverse, and then maybe up north towards Bloomington. But outside of that, we're kind of the lone district in Southwest Indiana that has the diversity and has this program. Now, I will say there is a school, Southwest DuBois County, which is like Southridge High School. They actually started a program a couple years ahead of us, and I think their demographics are similar to ours, and so we've used them as a model to build our program.
So talking about you're getting staffing that is actually coming international now, what's the induction process like?
That is a big piece of it, and something that we plan for, and then until you're into it, it really does take a lot of time and a lot of people to help. Our assistant superintendent, Steve Peterson, he's taken the lead on that, and he's created a team of some of our current EL teachers and other teachers. And that first summer, I think it was 2 summers ago, he basically worked with those teachers and then other community organizations to start collecting furniture. Furniture was a big piece. He was out on the forefront trying to find apartments and places to live, which in a small town like Washington, we don't have the greatest selection of rental properties. Housing is very limited. And so, you work through that process and you do the best that you can. And then once they get here, it's the first couple of weeks you're having to help them with like transportation, because they don't come with their car. And again, we're not a city with like a lot of public transportation options. So it takes a whole group of people, like just helping them to get around town, to get to the Social Security office, and and to the bank and to the BMV to get their driver's license. And but yeah, that's certainly a big part of it.
Yeah, but I think one thing that I know about you is that you're taking the time to learn each year. You know, enhance the overall offering and strengthen that induction program, and you can strengthen the services that you're providing.
When we have others come, we make sure that those teachers are involved. It's almost like, the recruitment. Whether we're meeting with somebody virtually and doing kind of that initial interview, we include them so that they can talk a little bit about what it's like living in Washington, Indiana, and Southern Indiana. They know, some of the resources that we have in town that can help when you're coming from a foreign country to live in Southern Indiana.
Well, and you're allowing them to build their own internal network of people that are in like situations, just like you said, you copied or you followed and learned lessons from another district that had similar demographics, and you've developed your networks and you're expanding that. I think one area that you're developing your network, I think you're also a member of EPIC.
Yeah, so Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents has a professional development leadership series for practicing superintendents called EPIC, and I think this is probably going to be the best professional development series that I've been a part of. The main idea behind EPIC is they bring in business leaders in Indiana that share their philosophy and strategies for how they run their businesses and how they grow their businesses and work within their community. And I think that part of it's been a great learning opportunity to learn from those folks. The other part that I really enjoy is the mentors and the leaders of the group are the who's who of Indiana superintendents. People like Jeff Butts and Laura Hammock, Jack Parker, Sharon Johnson Shirley from Northwest Indiana. And you got Dr. Bob Taylor and Dr. Deb Lecklider. And so you're surrounded by these people that I look up to and have great respect for with what they've done. The networking piece, I think, is probably as big of a piece as anything. And 3 meetings in, getting to know those people, and we've shared stories and learned from each other. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I know Laura personally. Laura's amazing. She was on the podcast. So we launched her episode a couple weeks ago, and she's just a phenomenal individual and cares about everybody.
Right.
So I'm sure that you're getting that vibe from probably all those individuals at that group. The fact that they're there to support and help grow you as an individual. But I think you hit on a really key point is they're help growing your network as well.
Well, and it's those mentors and the superintendents that have had a career, and then it's a lot of folks like me that maybe are 2 or 3 years in or have more years, and from all different parts of Indiana that that's the part that just learning from each other and hearing the challenges and the successes and then being able to think on that and how I can apply it to Washington.
Well, and I think one of the things that makes EPIC unique based on what you just said was the fact they're bringing in business leaders from around the state to share kind of like, what are we looking for? How do you help us develop a talent pipeline? Because we're seeing that shift in education definitely with, like the Commissioner of Higher Ed put out a grant for things like career coaching, and you're seeing more emphasis being placed on how do we transition with high school redesign and different things. You're seeing more of an emphasis on how do we prepare that talent pipeline to be contributing members of our society. And EPIC's actually proactively trying to support you in that process.
Oh, absolutely. Just last week at our meeting, we had Tina Peterson, who's the director of ROI, which is the organization that runs 11-county region in South Central Indiana. And a big focus of that work is connecting schools with the industry in that region, which is the life sciences, Crane Naval Base, and all the surrounding work going around there, which is a lot of STEM work, and then industry. And she shared, which Washington's a part of, the apprenticeship program that they're building and connecting schools with these businesses and getting kids real life experiences in those jobs that are definitely influencing the types of college and career pathways they're going down.
Well, you have Crane Naval Base not too far from me, right?
We're about a half hour
Half an
away.
hour
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and you talked about the emphasis on STEM. I know before Steve became your assistant soup, he was the high school principal, and we actually worked with him on STEM certification at the high school. You guys are actually an interesting case because usually 90% of the districts we work with, they start at the elementary and they build their STEM program up. You guys were like, no, we've got great things happening at the high school that are already aligned with STEM certification. Let's start there and we'll maybe work down.
Yeah, working with Steve, I feel like we were very strategic and intentional on that. And you go back to right before COVID, we were a Project Lead the Way program with just engineering and the biotech fields. And I can remember standing along our fence, watching a high school football game, talking with Steve, and then Mr. Riney, was a math teacher at the time, but had a background in programming, and just having that conversation, like, we've got to get computer science into Washington. And Matt went through training. We added that prong of Project Lead the Way. And at one point, I don't know if this is still true today or not, we were the smallest high school, I think, in the United States that had all three Project Lead the Way prongs, the computer science, engineering, and the biotech. And so once COVID hit, one of the things that we invested our ESSER money in was those programs and the STEM equipment, and which, I think everybody knows STEM equipment can be pretty expensive. So we leveraged our ESSER funds in those areas. We used it to build up our junior high program, which we have computer science and engineering at that level. And here, just in the last year or two, we now have added the launch programs for our elementary schools. And I think we're probably a year or two away from working with you guys and looking at district certification, but that's definitely something on the horizon for us that we want to pursue.
Yeah, we have quite a few districts that have actually gone through and all their buildings are STEM certified now. It's a process.
Right.
They don't make it easy.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things that it's a feather in your cap, but the point of it is it's what's best for our kids. We talked a little bit ago about our diversity, and that's something that we've done some data review on. And how do we improve the math and STEM skills of our Hispanic and Haitian population?
Right.
And we want to try to show those kids and those families right here in Washington in our backyard. And a lot of people in the state of Indiana don't realize Crane Naval Base and the technology that's going on there, the microchips and microelectronics is huge in that area. And, the thing that we keep hearing is that over the next 5 to 10 years, they are going to have to import so many engineers from out of state that we've said, why can't we become a leader in getting our kids excited and interested in STEM and pursuing these engineering type careers? Because then you can come back to Washington and have a great paying job a half hour away. So that's kind of the philosophy that we've had with this, is why it's so important that we do build strong STEM programs.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think what you're doing is you're trying to develop the talent pipeline like you're learning EPIC wants to see you do.
Right.
We're seeing that in the legislation. We're seeing that in the initiatives from the governor. We're seeing that across the board of Indiana is a business-friendly environment. So that's great. Now, I'll transition a little bit because I'll go to a topic I know you love, your IU football. It sounds like you're interchanneling your coach, Signetti. What's it like being a fan of him?
Being a 50-year-old Indiana University just fan, I mean, in a lot of ways, when you watch his press conferences, just his no nonsense and how transparent he is, he reminds me of Coach Knight. There's just a lot to him that reminds me of growing up a huge IU basketball fan. I went to Coach Knight's basketball camp for many summers, And I hope we can hang on to Coach Signetti for many years. And
He just signed his 8-year extension. He's building a perennial powerhouse.
right, so it's exciting times to be an IU football fan, and yeah, this is super exciting.
So I'm kind of curious if how you're seeing Signetti lead and what you're learning at Epic, if they align at all.
Being process oriented. I hear him say that a lot, and I think of it in a lot of ways with the work that we're doing with you and your team with our school improvement grant and the rural transformation zone, and just being process oriented, looking at our curriculum. You know, is our curriculum aligned to the state standards? What type of instructional strategies are we using? And then your folks have been down and have really helped us and put us on track with our science of reading and those strategies. So we still need to look at results and improve our results, but I think it all starts with being process oriented, being intentional with our work, and I think he clearly has a process and a culture that he brings to coaching a football program that has resulted in just immediate success. And I think, in a lot of ways, school administrators with the right approach can, build positive cultures that promote student learning and student success.
I'm a big fan of watching that, even though I'm not a huge IU fan.
Right.
I am a big fan of just great leadership.
Right.
We got to take time. I know you have a daughter, so you got to at least give her a shout out too. She's also she's senior this year, right?
Yeah.
Graduating?
Aubrey's a senior. She's actually has a focus in social media and really kind of podcasting. She's got a little bit of a TikTok following of about 40,000 followers, and she's planning on going to Franklin College to play basketball, and looking forward to having a good season.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, Washington and the Hatchets have a history of good basketball. You had a pretty good family that came through there for a year.
We had the Zeller family there about 15 to 20 years ago, and I definitely joke with my peers that one of the best parts of being superintendent at Washington is having keys to the Hatchet House. And, Indiana is known for its large gymnasiums, but I don't think there's a better one than the Hatchet House, just with its setting. And when you get a lot of people in there, it's a pretty special place to see a ball game.
Well, and it's great because it brings the community back into the schools, and there's a lot of support around that. And basketball has been kind of a glue in your community for a while.
Oh yeah, I grew up in Northwest Indiana and had a pretty good basketball experience at Lowell. But until you've been in Southwest Indiana and Daviess County or Greene County and Du Bois and other areas, you have no idea how important and just the intensity that the community supports all of their teams, but especially basketball in the wintertime. And
there's a passion.
There's a definite passion there.
That's great. And that is a prime responsibility right now of a superintendent, is being able to communicate the successes that you have, the hope that you're bringing with kids. I know you have another program that you're focused on that centers around hope. So
yeah.
You want to share a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. So we have been a Kids at Hope school, I think now going on 7, maybe 8 years. It was it's a belief system. It's not a canned curriculum or anything. It's a belief system. The main tenet that we believe is that all kids are capable of success, no exceptions.
Right.
And so we challenge our staff with that statement that on a scale of 1 to 10, we need everyone to be a 10 in how much they believe in that. And, some of the things that they do on a daily basis is there's a Kids at Hope pledge. And
I am a kid at Hope. I am talented, smart, and capable of success. I have dreams for the future. I will try to reach those goals and dreams every day. All children are capable of success, no exceptions.
We have something that we call play partners, which are community member volunteers that go through a small training, and once a month we have them in to basically build relationships with the kids and play with them on the recess or in gym. And and just give kids another, we call them ACEs, those adult relationships that are positive relationships just to help them grow. And so with the population that we serve, where we do have a high poverty rate and we have a high EL population, Kids at Hope just provides kind of an umbrella, again, it's not a canned curriculum or anything. It's just a way of,
It's a mindset.
it's a mindset. It's probably one of the things of our community members that are really engaged with our school that we get positive feedback on how happy folks are that we are a Kids at Hope school.
That's great. Every kid can be successful.
Right.
It's our job to provide them the resources, the tools, and the supports to allow them to do that. And sometimes that takes certain kids require more scaffolding
Mm-hmm.
and more support systems to allow that to happen, because not every kid comes to us at the same point.
Right.
And it's important that staff has that mindset of embracing the flexibility to allow these kids to be successful.
Right. And I think a lot of school districts have issues with just certain students being transient, moving out, transferring to a different school, coming to this school. I feel like with the children that we have that are in our school year after year, the ones that we are able to hang on to and grow academically and grow their hope mindset are very successful when they get to Washington Junior High and Washington High School. And I think that's where you get that buy-in and just excitement and pride to be a part of what it is that we're building there at Washington Community Schools.
Yeah, and one of the nice things you have, I know, like you've partnered with us with your Rural Transformation Zone, and we didn't really go much in depth there, but your middle school is getting kind of a new look at how they go about curriculum instruction, assessment, tracking progress, PLCs, those different variables, also pulling in employability skills and things like that. And then, but another thing that you're getting out of that grant is we're working with you on a new product that we just launched, which is called District Showcase. And so now we're starting to help you tell your story and starting to get testimonials and credibility and things like that. And you're one of our pilot districts, so I appreciate that. You were actually the first district to launch on District Showcase. Cool. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
Yeah, so you've already started to get some testimonials and some stories. We're pushing out stories and doing things. So I'm excited about that partnership too.
Yeah, the part that I like about that, I feel like, we've talked a little bit about, we do a fairly decent job of telling our story, putting together little videos and pictures and utilizing Facebook. But the thing that I like about this is that we're engaging our community and giving them an opportunity to give us feedback. And I think that helps the community at large. It's not just us telling them what it is that we're doing. We have some of our community members, some of our parents and school stakeholders telling their stories with their experiences with Washington Community Schools. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how that supports what it is that we're doing.
Well, and District Showcase was built to help you tell your story and get information out there that's credible, not necessarily the Facebook conversations that happen that might sometimes not be kind of the whole picture.
Right.
As well as your ability to give people a voice and kind of championing the hard work and the things they admire about you as well. So we built District Showcase with the mindset of making it a positive lens on education.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that's needed right now across our field.
Right.
So I always end with the same question. Over the next 12 months, what are you looking forward to the most professionally?
The biggest thing that we're working through is a strategic facility plan. We had 3 work sessions this summer into early fall, working with a construction team that does school facilities. And so we have an idea of some immediate needs that we want to try to address here in the next year. But then the second part of that is we want to try to map this facility plan out 3, 5, 10 years and give the community, look, we're being as transparent as we can. We have some aging buildings. We have some great curriculum programs that we want to continue to expand and grow. But the only way we're kind of to a point now where the only way that we're going to be able to do that is by making some improvements to facilities. And so we want to map all of this out in a plan that would be on our website that community members can see, and then continuing to work with ways just to tell our story, just to build the understanding of why it is that we want to make these changes and improvements to our facilities. And so I'm excited to see what happens here with the immediate needs plan, which could be a small addition onto one of our elementaries. And then I think here in the next 12 months, we really need to map out the rest of that long-range plan and give everybody an idea of where we're headed. And it may take a referendum potentially in 26 and 28, and kind of along with that, there'll be a lot of things come out of the legislative session in 2025 that could impact our decision with that and our timeline. So I would say all of that is kind of where our focus is here leading into 2025.
That's exciting, though, and it's exciting for kids, the opportunities that you're growing and wanting to update your facilities to allow to amplify those opportunities that you're now providing, specifically in areas like STEM.
Right.
So thanks for being a guest today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.